All right, guys. So on this episode of Who's Canceled by Radical Left America, we have Dr. Seuss as Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden has elected to remove mentions of Dr. Seuss from Read Across America Day. Okay, and this also comes as 6 Dr. Seuss books also won't be published anymore because of quote unquote racism. And guys, this is just a continuation of the woke mob cancel culture that has been ravaging America like a plague. I mean, guys, the cancel culture movement, right? Seeing things that we loved as children, black, white, Latino, Asian, right? So many students have benefited from Dr. Seuss. And to see his books slowly but surely start to get canceled, right? It's just terrible, right? It's terrible, and it's really a damn shame because growing up, I never once thought about the perceived racism in a Dr. Seuss book. So let's read here in terms of why Biden is doing this. So President Biden removed mentions of Dr. Seuss from Reading Across America Day amid accusations of, quote, racial undertones in the classic whimsical tales for children. Read Across America Day, started by the National Educational Association in 1998 as a way to promote children's reading, is even celebrated on the author's March 2nd birthday. In his presidential proclamation, Biden noted that for many Americans, the path to literacy begins with story time in their school classroom, USA Today reported. But unlike his two predecessors, former President Donald Trump and Barack Obama, Biden did not mention Dr. Seuss. The move comes as Dr. Seuss' work has generated controversy following a highlight of lack of diversity among the author's characters. Quote, of the 2,240 identified human characters, there are 45 characters of color, representing 2% of the total number of human characters, according to a 2019 study from the Conscious Kids Library and the University of California that examined 50 of Dr. Seuss's books. Last week, a Virginia school district ordered its teachers to avoid, quote, connecting Read Across America Day with Dr. Seuss because of the recent research that allegedly revealed strong racial undertones in many of the author's books. So, guys, unsurprisingly here, what you have is you have academic America, the academic elitist in our society, doing these quote unquote studies, right? And then doing these studies, they came to the conclusion that Dr. Seuss is racist. That's what happened, right? And because these elite academic institutions are telling us that Dr. Seuss is racist, now all of a sudden Dr. Seuss is canceled. You see how this goes, guys? Right? You see what happened with the whole gender movement, right? You see what happened with the LGBTQ thing. Again, I have no issues with that. I have no issues with that movement. I'm just saying, college has taught people that, hey, gender is fluid and that there are more than two genders, okay? And that we should not organize our society based off sex, okay? It should be based off gender, whom they believe is a social construction, that gender norms are purely man-made and is made up. Okay, that's the liberal argument. Okay, that's what they teach in academia, right? And lo and behold, because this is the thought process of academia, they now start to apply this to government, to schools, to all aspects of our society. Even corporations are picking up on it. Same thing was happening with this new, with the whole race conversation. Academics have pulled the curtain back and told everybody that white people are inherently racist, okay? That, no matter what a white person does, right, no matter how they feel, whether they have a racist bone in their body or not, they are racist just because they're white, right? Because they have unconscious racism, unconscious bias, simply because of their learned experience. That's the liberal argument. I took classes on it, so I know, right? Now, again, it's just funny how academia is controlling all of this stuff. They're pushing this narrative, and a lot of these college students and these young kids are taking this narrative that they learned in college and they're rolling with it like it's religious doctrine. Because honestly, at this point, this is what it's become. It's become religion. Because I'm going to tell you, Dr. Seuss has taught more black kids how to read than anybody I can think of. I mean, that's how I learned how to read. Dr. Seuss. I mean, The Cat in the Hat, The Green Eggs and Ham. You know what I'm saying? Those are my two favorite books. I remember my mother reading those books to me during a summer afternoon, right? And that was one of my most favorite memories from childhood, is being read to, right? You know how important it is to have children be read to when they're young? Okay, that helps cognitive development. Dr. Seuss's books are so revolutionary and they're so good because they were easy to read for parents, thus making it easy to read to their children, which allowed children to read better, okay? Dr. Seuss has done so much good in this world with his books that I don't think that the man's work deserves to be canceled simply because some small group of academics said that it was racist. I mean, come on, man. I mean, are we serious? Is that's seriously where we're going right now? Because if that's the case, every single book that's about anti-whiteness should be canceled, right? If we're talking about diversity, all those books that's in the black section or the Asian section or the Hispanic section that's purely just for that, they need to be canceled because they're not diverse enough. They're not diverse enough. They got to have, everybody got to be included. Everybody has to be represented in a book, right? That's where we're going. That's where we're going because that's the only logical conclusion. Once white people become the minority in this society, I'm going to tell you, once white people become the minority, you guys know what I believe about politics in society. The pendulum always swings the other way. That's why I'm so against this, because I know what's happening with demographic changes. I understand that Hispanics are becoming a majority. The black population isn't really growing that much. We need to start growing. But eventually, white people will be the minority in this country. And when white people become the minority, all of a sudden, you're going to start to see what real white oppression is. Okay, you're going to start to see a ton of people be like, oh no, I'm oppressed now. And it's going to be real funny when those people are now the minority and then they're going to be hollering for and saying they need minority rights. Okay, and all of a sudden, all those anti-white books are now all of a sudden going to be offensive, right? They're going to be canceled. They're going to have to be. They're going to need to be. And see, that's the thing, man. The pendulum always swings both ways. And that's why I'm so against this type of stuff. I just feel like, it's just getting out of control. Like, what is the point? Like, as a child, I never thought once in my life that anything in the Dr. Seuss books was racist. I didn't even know that anything about Dr. Seuss was racist until I read this story. Or there was perceived racism. Yeah, I saw some images of a Chinese man, with some chopsticks or whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, so what? It's a stereotype. There's stereotypes everywhere. I see stereotypes all the time. Are we getting to the point where anybody that talks about a stereotype or writes about a stereotype or, posts a stereotype, they just get canceled? We can't have stereotypes anymore. I mean, they exist for a reason. They're funny, right? They're funny. They're jokes. They bring laughter to people. Right? As long as it doesn't turn into hate and bigotry, I'm cool with it. What's wrong? There's a ton of stereotypes about black people that I'm like, that's kind of funny. Do I go whine and cry and complain about it? No. Why? Because I'm living my life. Right? I'm bigger than that. I'm not worried about that. But for whatever reason, people should be worried about some perceived racism in Dr. Seuss books because he drew certain characters a certain way, or he said certain things that a borderline racist or something like that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why can't people just read other books? Well, Dr. Seuss books are kind of one of a kind, right? They're one of a kind classic novels that I think have a place in literature and history, right? And I think that when you start to go this far, you're starting to get into the territory of basically book burning. right? You're saying if I don't like this book, if I think this book has things that I don't like, then we can't have it. And guys, I'm gonna tell you, I mean, for religious folks, I mean, whether you Muslim, Christian, Jewish, whatever, right? I mean, if this is the standard that we're applying, you look at some things that's in the Bible, the Quran, any of these books, these religious books, like eventually at some point, somebody's going to be saying, okay, do we need to ban the Bible? Do we need to ban the Quran? I mean, I'm serious. I'm serious because if this is the standard, and I'm not saying that should happen, obviously not. Obviously, no. I'm just saying, what I'm afraid of is that it's going to get to the point now where people are going to be offended by religious books. That's the point where it's going to get to. And then companies might say, well, we're going to stop selling the Bible. Okay? We're going to stop selling this book. We're going to stop selling that book. Guys, it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. All this stuff is a slippery slope. The left, when you give them an inch, they'll take a whole mile. And that's what I'm afraid of. So, anyways, man, Joe Biden leading the way and falling prey and victim to the woke mob on Dr. Seuss. What else is new? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.